Welcome back to the Tin Soldier 3 coverage. It's round 5 and I'm up against Warriors of Chaos. And the Warriors of Chaos player here is Joe, and he's the brother of the guy that thrashed me in the previous day, Tomb Kings versus Tomb Kings. And the two guys are basically famous Warhammer players in New Zealand now, both twin brothers around about like 17 or 18 years of age, and they are both very successful in tournaments and both very good players. And having been very successful in my previous round, I'm up against Joe here with his Warriors of Chaos army. You might have seen his army described a bit more clearly in the intro that I did, so go back and have a look at that if you haven't heard about it. But he's got a Dragon Ogre Shoggoth and Dragon Ogres themselves in the top left-hand corner of the photo, there on the flank, and he's got the rest of his troops in the middle, the Knights, Marauders, and so forth, and all the Mages. What I've done is I've kept my catapult in the forest, so that he can't get attacked by any flying, disc-mounted characters, and I've got the chariots, fairly far back. At the back of my lines. Now, this is going to be a difficult game because he's got a Exalted Hero on a Steed of Slaanesh, so movement 20 and when he charges, with a flail, so strength 7, easily wipe out a whole unit of chariots. He's also got a second hero on a disc of Tzeentch with a flail, so it's another movement 20 character with strength 7. Both of them immune to fear. So that means that I'm likely to lose this game just in the fact that all of my chariots are going to go down to these guys pretty easily. Also, the Dragon Ogre and Dragon Ogre Shoggoths are strength 7 as well, and he's got a level 4 unmarked Sorcerer Lord with Lore of Shadows and Unseen Lurker rolled for this game, so he's going to actually have even more movement to crush me with. So this is actually a very difficult matchup. Normally Tomb Kings versus Warriors of Chaos would be okay for Tomb Kings, but not this particular matchup. Next photo shows you a little guy here behind the forest. This is on his left-hand flank. This is the Exalted Hero on the disc. That's what this model is meant to represent. And he's cunningly hiding behind this forest over here. Going to go on the flank and just kill all the chariots that he can, essentially. Next picture shows you a bit more of his line. He's got a couple of units of 10 Marauders at the back here, and they're mainly there to house his characters. He's got a chariot which is actually facing his line instead of mine because it is frenzied, and he doesn't want to actually get charge baited, frenzy baited, we should say, by any of my movement. Now, again, my Scorpions are not deployed here. What I intended to do is actually put a couple of counters down and tunnel them, but embarrassingly, I actually forgot to deploy them a second game. I cannot believe it, and it was a really awkward moment when I said to my opponent in the first turn, I've forgotten to deploy my Scorpions, and luckily me and him managed to work something out where I deployed the Scorpions in my own battle line in some inconvenient place for me to allow the game to proceed without any awkwardness. But man, I really felt like an idiot for that, and voted my opponent, best person of the weekend for sportsmanship, just for allowing me to come to a compromise when he could, rightfully have said, you've made a mistake, you can't put them on the field, which was really, really embarrassing. But I cannot describe what's come over me here for forgetting about Scorpions. I think it's just because I had them in the box, and I'm thinking, okay, my Scorpions are going to be deployed last, and once I finished with everything else, I thought, okay, I'm going to tunnel them, and then I put the characters down, then I forgot about them when it came to time to put the counters down. But man, really embarrassing stuff. Next picture, he starts with the first turn, moving out with everybody, just moves as far forward as he can with his fast-moving stuff, tries to cast Unseen Lurker on his Knights, but I scroll it with a Dispel Scroll. Next image shows you a better view of his move forward. He's actually gone around the other side of the forest with his disc-mounted character, and he's got 2 units of Knights straight up ahead. One of them is just barely touching the hill. The units of Knights in the far background are actually counted as being on the hill, but just largely staying behind it. Next image, it's my turn. I've moved the Carrion in front of his unit of Knights to prevent them from charging my chariots, or at least the character charging my chariots in the further turn. And I've moved the Tomb King forward. Kept everybody else back, though, moving the Scorpions on a little bit, and really just hoping for the best. I'm hoping to really do a lot of damage to his army with my Tomb King's unit before he gets over to my line and smashes the chariots. So just playing very carefully and conservatively here. In the next image, you can see what's going on here. He's got his Exalted Hero on the line. It's meant to be a Steed of Slaanesh. In his following turn, he decides not to charge the Carrion with that unit, but instead charge them with the guy on the disc. So in the next photo, you see him moving around here. This is turn 2 Warriors of Chaos, moving right around with his Dragon Ogres, and that's the Shoggoth there right next to it. He's moved the units together so that they're flush, so that if I attack one or the other unit with any of my units here, I'm going to actually have to engage both in close combat. So that's the reason for his tactic there. I've got a little Scorpion in the corner, just hoping to annoy somebody or redirect or get in the way in general. Next image, he's attacking my carrion with his disc-mounted character here, and moving back a little bit with his knights to prevent me from charging forward and then magic moving in the magic phase with the Tomb Kings. Now, his brother, plays Tomb Kings, so he's well aware of what to do against my army, so that's why I'm having a tough time here, playing against a very skilled and experienced opponent in this matchup. The Chariot of Khorne has moved back around, though, so I have the opportunity to frenzy bait it into contact with my unit if I wish. In the next image, the Dragon Ogres have actually... I've moved the Scorpion nearby to them, and I've turned the Skeleton Warriors around so that they can actually make a magic move in the magic phase to attack the Shoggoth and hopefully tar pit it for a little while, if not break it. I've turned my unit of fast cavalry around with both liches in it so that if he charges me with his hero, he's not going to be able to directly attack them and I can magic move troops in to defend myself later on, at least I hope so. And the Tomb King moving forward, actually attempting to charge his Chaos Knights who decide to flee, leaving me out in the open. Next picture shows you a bit more of what's going on there. There's the unit of Chaos Knights ahead of me. It's my movement phase. I've just moved up and it's my magic phase now, so I want to move forward. He's also got 2 opportunities to charge me with his character here on the disc, and he's able to either charge either of these units of chariots and wipe them out. I've given him both opportunities because if he goes for one or the other, then I'm free to actually move past him and be aggressive against his army with whichever chariot unit survives that. So it's a bit of a desperate sacrifice, but he's going to get to me anyway, so I may as well be aggressive like this when I can to try and get the opportunities. Screamer Skull Catapult has been firing but misfired and lost a turn's worth of shooting. Next image shows you his Chaos Knights having fled, and fled back through the chariot and the marauders there. Everybody's got Marcus Slanish, so nothing to worry about. That leaves my Tomb King out in the open, vulnerable to a flank charge from his Chaos Knights and his chariot, but I position my Tomb King on the corner so that he can actually use his Destroy Opportunities on both the chariot or the Knights, or both, depending on where he positions himself. So that's what's going to happen there. In the next picture, the Skeleton Warriors actually attack the Dragon of the Shoggoth and beat it in combat. Unfortunately, my opponent fails this break check and he runs away, not cut down by the Skeleton Warriors, unfortunately for me, but a huge sigh of relief actually easing up that flank a little bit with my puny little Skeleton Warriors, so really happy that that happened there. Next image, he decides not to charge into my flank with the Chaos Knights, but must charge in with the Chariot. The Chariot kills 4 Tomb Guard, but the King swipes back and destroys it with his Strength 7 Great Weapon, Destroyer of Eternities. Next image, what happens here is that he's just going to go for the kill here, charging his disc of Zenshkai into my light cavalry instead of my chariots, so that he can try and assassinate the Hierophant. Now, he's non-base to base with the Hierophant, so he can wipe out a whole bunch of archers this time. But this will force me to return and actually kill him, because if I don't, then I'll lose my Hierophant. In the meantime, the chariots are left unmolested by that, so I'm happy to actually keep those units alive. Next image, the Knights on his side of the board have actually charged in and attacked my Skeleton Warriors, so that'll really crush them. The Dragon of the Shoggoth has rallied. So that's his way of dealing with that particular little threat, if you could call it that. Next image, the Exalted Hero has killed several of the light cavalry, so the Hierophant is going to be next. But the Tomb King turns around with his free reform and uses magic moves to charge the Exalted Hero on the flank. That enables me to kill him. Next photo, the Dragon Ogres have destroyed the Scorpion at the bottom left here, and my chariots have avoided them, though. That's the main thing. So Chariot's just trying to sweep around, but the Dragon Ogre Shoggoth is back into the action and has turned around. Next photo, what happens here is that I finally wipe out his accursed flying hero, but I really had to make a careful decision here as to whether I wanted to come back and save my Hierophant or go for the kill, because my Tomb King was, within the vicinity of a lot of his army there with his sorcerers and stuff. But after I did some calculations, I realized that he could have just essentially avoided my Tomb King, and losing my Hierophant would have lost me a lot more points than I could have gained from trying to actually mop things up with my Tomb King. So decided to come back and save the Hierophant's life and be conservative in that regard. Next image, what happens here is that his Exalted Hero on the city of Slaanesh has rallied earlier on after fleeing from the Tomb King and has charged out into the chariots. Now, Joe had some abysmal luck here, only killing 1 chariot, getting only like a couple of hits and 1 wound rather than like 3 wounds and destroying 3 chariots worth with a Strength 7 flail attack. So that puts me in an awesome position here to attack back and possibly beat him, due to having outnumber and having a Scorpion nearby to charge him. So really amazed that happened, and horrible luck him not wiping out all chariots in one go with that Strength 7 attack. Next image shows you what happens next. I countercharge that attacking character with the Scorpion, and moving in to charge his knights with my chariots. Now that's a bad combat, but in the left-hand side of the field, you can see that I've got a second chariot unit lined up to charge that same unit of knights in the flank, hopefully beating them in combat. Next image shows you what happens here. The chariots move in and don't beat the knights, so I get flank charged by a further unit of marauders on foot, unfortunately getting crushed in the flank and starting to lose my chariots at this point. And the next photo shows you the lichers lining up, just trying to move out of the way of his dragon ogres in the background, moving ever further towards me. And next photo shows you the final picture of the game, or second to last photo of the game, where he's actually just mopped up all of my chariots at completely at this point, even though his exalted hero is in combat with my Scorpion, still manages to wipe that out. Chariot's just no good against Warriors of Chaos. And in the final photo here, I'm attacking my fast cavalry with his Shoggoth. So that's how the game ends, me losing by a margin of 14 points to 6. Well played, I thought, but a very, very tough matchup for me. I really enjoyed this game despite that. Good technical Warhammer.